What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Today is Monday, June 19th. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. My name is Will. Joining me is my co-host, Eric. Eric, how you feeling today, dog?
I'm feeling great, man. Ready to get it going this Monday morning. Happy Juneteenth to everybody out there. I know it won't be when this video comes out, but I hope you celebrated. Hope you had a good time. And yeah, excited to get into a little news and notes today.
Absolutely. This is one of our more chill pods. We're just going to be talking about some NFL news, just some of the hype, some of the stuff that's just been going on in the season and the off season, just to get ready and just stay on the up and up, I guess, about everything that's been going on lately. So I guess we're going to kick this off with our first bit of news. Sticking local, we're some Commander fans over here, unfortunately. And Commanders head coach Ron Rivera says Antonio Gibson could be a matchup nightmare for the opponent in the team's new offense. Now, Eric, on year, 3 of him saying this, do we believe him this time?
I don't know. Maybe Eric Bieniemy came in and reminded him that Antonio Gibson is on the team and that he was a wide receiver in college.
Okay.
Maybe somebody finally got through to Ron Rivera. I don't know. Eric Bieniemy does give me a little bit more faith, just because we've seen what he's done with, honestly, outside of Kelsey and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, a fairly limited weapons group. So I think he can probably get the best out of what we have. But yeah, after 3 years of them talking about this and it not happening, I am definitely skeptical.
Yeah, I'm 100% skeptical. If it's coming from Ron Rivera, for sure. If I hear it from Eric Bieniemy, I think I'll believe it a little bit more. But, at least Ron Rivera speaking from the perspective of that's what Eric is proposing. That's what he wants to bring to the offense. So
right, they do have the quote in here that says Ron Rivera added, Eric, in reference to Bieniemy, wants to make sure that Antonio gets as many opportunities right, not to show us what he's... Wait.
Right now.
Am I reading this right?
Yeah, right now. You just, a little dyslexia. Get as many opportunities right now to show us what he's capable of, because I think that'll be a big part of the game planning.
Thank you for being able to read, because I clearly can't.
It's all good.
But yeah, so indirect quote from Eric Bieniemy that he wants to get him more involved, and they've been hyping up his involvement in the passing game, using him a ton in the screen game and stuff like that so far throughout OTAs. So it's positive. I'd rather hear this than not.
Yeah, it's positive.
I'm gonna temper expectations.
It's positive, and the team let J.D. McKissic walk as well, so they are in need of a receiving back there. So that may mean that Gibson actually gets the opportunity to step up now that McKissic is gone. So
yeah, he's really the only guy in the backfield right now that can do it too. Brian Robinson is a zero threat as a receiver. They drafted the kid out of Kentucky.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, Chris Rodriguez. He's also a zero in the receiving game. Both more kind of two-down plotters that, honestly, they're not bad running backs, but they're certainly not dynamic. They're not athletic in space the way that Antonio Gibson is. So hopefully now that he's the sole guy in the offense that's capable of that, he'll be put into those positions.
So we're talking fantasy implications for somebody like Antonio Gibson. What do you see? Well, let's talk redraft first, and then let's talk a little bit of dynasty, just a little bit. If we were talking redraft, how could you see, if he were to be used more in the receiving game and be a more featured part of this offense, what's the ceiling and kind of the floor that you see on his play?
I think it really depends on who's getting the red zone work, the goal line work specifically.
Plus, it's Sam Howell back there still. We don't even know if he's a real check down guy or not, or what that's going to even look like.
Yeah, he's athletic. He's been known to rush the ball, at least in his college career. In his one-game sample size, he did a little bit of that as well. So maybe not a huge check-down guy. But even, if you go back to Kansas City last year, Patrick Mahomes likes to get it down the field, and he can scramble a little bit. But even so, Jerick McKinnon was used heavily in the receiving game. So we've seen, even with athletic quarterbacks and stuff like that they can be involved. I don't know. I don't have super high expectations from a fantasy perspective, because I do expect Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez to get a lot of early down work and potentially goal line work. So touchdown upside might be limited for Antonio Gibson, but the passing game work is super valuable. So he's probably undervalued currently, but by the time we get to August, his hype will probably be through the roof, and he'll be back to not being a value anymore.
He might even be overpriced at that point too. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
But you mentioned in Dynasty. I do think he's definitely a value in Dynasty. Even if he doesn't pan out, like you can get him for so cheap right now. People are so over him. I could absolutely see a contender going out and buying him, or anything like that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's a great piece for depth on the team, like a contending team.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds good to me. This is something we don't have on the list, but just because we're talking about Eric Bieniemy and we just brought up the Kansas City Chiefs and Jerick McKinnon, I saw a tweet recently where someone was like, hey, stop trying to guess who's going to be the next wide receiver up for the Kansas City Chiefs and just make sure Jerick McKinnon's on your team. How do you feel about that statement?
I think that was Dynasty Zoltan, wasn't it? Mike Garay?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's also been hyping up Antonio Gibson a little bit, which gives me a little bit more faith. I like Dynasty Zoltan a lot. He's a super trustworthy source on Twitter. I agree with his take because we've seen out of their receiver corps since Tyreek Hill left that even the number one guy isn't fantasy relevant. It's Travis Kelce, and then it doesn't matter because it's spread out so much.
Yes.
We've seen people hyping up Kadarius Toney. We've seen people hyping up Sky Moore. We've seen people hyping up your boy out of SMU.
Rashee Rice.
His name, Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential mouths to feed, but I think the answer is probably just that it gets spread out like crazy. And so, yeah, I'm not heavily investing in any of the receivers in Kansas City. And if Jerick McKinnon can repeat what he did last year, then that's another great value for you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I thought it was an interesting tweet. I was like, nah, that's a very good take. It's just, I don't think you're really going to be able to guess it.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the next piece of news we got up here, we got Rams head coach Sean McVay said running back Cam Akers will be a central figure in the team's offense this season. We saw last year he started to kind of catch a stride towards the second half of the season, definitely picking it up more and looking like he could be one of those guys that could come back from an Achilles tear. But what do you think about this take, Eric?
I will be skeptical until I'm given reason not to be.
Yeah.
I like Cam Akers. I loved him as a prospect. And in the report, it talks about how, like you said, he picked up at the end of last year. He led the NFL in rushing with 512 yards over the regular season's final 6 weeks. He was, I think, like the RB5 for fantasy during that stretch as well. So he was productive. But Zach Evans comes in, who we both really liked as a prospect, and I think could eat into the workload a little bit. Tyon Evans also was an undrafted free agent who's definitely under the radar, and I'm not projecting him necessarily for big volume, but I like him as a prospect, and he could eat in a little bit. And yeah, we've just never seen anybody do it. And typically you want to be like ahead of the game. Like a lot of times you want to see potential positives or negatives or whatever in advance and kind of go against the grain with what people are thinking. But in this scenario, I'm not going to bet against the history of Achilles tears and what that's done to running backs.
Yeah, because we haven't really seen too many people successfully come back from an Achilles tear. Like obviously we've seen
no one.
Yeah, like Deonta Foreman's the closest thing we've seen to an Achilles tear success story, and even then that's not all that great. That's not really that amazing of a piece to have on your team.
Yeah.
And we've only seen him perform for 1 year. That could have even been a fluke year for all we know.
Right.
So
and it was also after a 4-year hiatus.
Exactly. He was gone for a long time, just sitting on benches, sitting at home.
It's been 1 year for Cam Akers.
And he's still playing. So it's concerning. It's concerning. It's not something I'm buying into too much. And there's too many running backs out there that are just free ranging right now as well on the free agent market right now for me to really feel comfortable having Cam Akers as a central piece on my team as well. Especially just looking at what the Rams are going to do this year too. I don't think the Rams are going to be a very pretty team going forward as well.
Yeah, the drives aren't going to last long. They're not going to be on the field for that often. They're going to be behind, so they're probably going to have to pass a good amount. I just don't see a lot of good things coming from the Rams. And this is one that, I acknowledge I could be wrong. Cam Akers could be the first guy to step out and do it. He's still young. He's athletic. He kind of fits the mold of a guy that should be able to do it. But I'm willing to lose on this one if that's the case. I'm going to bet on the probability here.
Yeah, if you're the guy who's betting in the 1940s that we're never going to make it to the moon, you don't seem all that stupid. You know what I'm saying? Sure, we did make it to the moon, but come on, bro. We haven't been back since. You know what I'm saying?
It took, 29 years from 1940?
That's what I'm saying. So,
I'll be all right.
Yeah. So it's just, it's crazy, man, because like Rams training camp is so crazy hearing news coming from there, because it's like you got Cam Akers and Stetson Bennett height, and it's like I got to be excited about anything coming from that team. I want to vomit.
I'll be all right.
Vomit. Okay, and then moving to our next piece, we got Mr. J.K. Dobbins from the Ravens. He had mandatory minicamp this week. Obviously, they started this week, but he was not there, and he's saying that it's contract related.
I think he was there. I think this. So
he was at the facility, but he wasn't participating in activities. Right.
Yeah, more of like a hold-in situation as opposed to a hold-out. He is aware that he'd be losing lots of money. It's quoted in here that there's massive fines for skipping these mandatory minicamps, and so he is there. He's in the building. He's not getting fined, but he's not participating actively in minicamp. This is one of a lot of running backs that are kind of in a similar situation right now. We'll talk about each of them individually, but we got Dobbins, we got Saquon Barkley, we got potentially Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, all in kind of a similar category here.
Yeah, it's the league is kind of making not really a statement, but I guess we're kind of seeing how the league is going to start valuing running backs going forward, because one, Dalvin Cook being a free agent for as long as he has, saying that he wants $10 million, and people are like, I mean, Dalvin was cool, but I don't know. I don't know if we're in a league that's going to be paying running backs right now, which is kind of weird, because outside of, like we've talked about, quarterbacks and centers, they touch the ball the most out of any player on the team. So it's a position that's important to a team, but they're not extremely valued, which is why, he's kind of saying things like the business side of things is difficult. We've heard that from Saquon as well, where it's like, yeah, the business side is difficult. We're not really seeing eye to eye. There's no bad blood, but I want to get paid for the work that I'm doing on this team. And NFL teams don't quite know how to value that, because we've seen teams, one, blow that up in their own faces with guys like Todd Gurley. And two, we've seen holdout situations from running backs that just did not end out well, like Le'Veon Bell or Melvin Gordon. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, it really opens up like a big conversation. There's the whole running backs don't matter conversation that people have been talking about for years. And like, yeah, you can make that argument. I think there's good sides to both. Like, even really good running backs, like the replacement level isn't that far below them, and then when you talk about the contract situation, like the shelf life is so short that even if you are a really good running back,
who knows
you're
how
not
long
going to
you'll
be that
good
for very long. Exactly. So why not just continue to cycle through rookie contracts and stuff like that? I think the elite of the elite really do provide you with a ceiling that you can't get from a replacement style back. That is why they're the elite of the elite. But again, even them, like the injury risk of an NFL running back is so high. Even if like their shelf life, if they had stayed healthy, would have been longer, who knows if they're going to have some sort of, setback injury that's going to limit that. So I feel bad for running backs, man, because if this continues to be the case, like kids aren't going to grow up wanting to be running backs. Like nobody's going to want to play that position when they know it's so undervalued. I wonder what happens to the position as a whole. Like once we see, if this is like a monumental moment in terms of contract situations for running backs, like I don't know what happens for the future.
Yeah, because they're just sitting back watching guys get beat the hell up every single week, and they're not getting paid for it. And they don't. And the NFL teams don't want to pay them for it. And it's crazy. Like we're gonna see a lot of wide receivers, a lot of quarterbacks. Yeah. A lot of tight ends, but running backs. I don't know, man. And it's weird because on the other side of the ball, linebackers get paid so much. You know what I mean?
Which is also strange because they're kind of in the same replacement level category,
right?
I feel the elite of the elite again, fall in like they can make huge difference, but besides that,
I feel like in terms of positional value, they're both very similar. They're both people who are highly active in their opposite sides of the ball. Obviously, linebackers make a lot of tackles every game. They lead their team in tackles usually.
Yeah.
Running backs lead the team in touches, yards, stuff like that. But it's just.
And we're talking off-ball linebackers, not necessarily like edge rushers, because those are huge difference.
Correct. I'm talking like middle linebackers, like the Fred Warners of the world. I was about to say Warren. Yeah. Fred Warners of the world, stuff like that. But it's just, it's
weird.
He
is in that elite of the elite category. He's a huge difference maker. But yeah, that same category. But yeah, so interesting conversation to be had for sure. But let's talk about these guys specifically. J.K. Dobbins, he's not getting an extension, bro.
No.
He's not getting an extension. Why, if you're the Ravens, like we just talked about, I'm sad for running backs. I'm sorry, this shouldn't be the case, but it is. Why would you pay J.K. Dobbins coming off of a catastrophic injury when you haven't seen him prove it necessarily? You have Gus Edwards on the roster. You can always draft another guy in the 3rd round and have him be basically the same. Like, I don't know why you would give this guy more money.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no leverage. And not to mention the fact that he's probably never going to be the leading rusher on this team, as long as Lamar Jackson is at quarterback as well. So, like, you got to pay this guy a huge contract to be a relief runner to your quarterback, really.
Yeah. Even if he does lead the team in rushing, like you said, you have Lamar Jackson rushing the ball. It's been a committee in the running back his entire career. I don't think he's ever averaged more than 11 rushes per game with Gus Edwards there. I guess Gus Edwards is really his only competition for rushing, but like Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell they brought in could take some of that passing work if that opens up with the new offensive coordinator.
But it's a big running back class next year as well.
Yeah.
Big running back class next year.
There's a lot of names coming in, a lot of really good names. It's top heavy. Well, not even top heavy. I guess it is, but there's depth too.
But it's pretty spread out, yeah. There's a lot of solid guys coming out next year, so it's like, I don't know if J.K. Dobbins doesn't have the leverage he thinks he has in this one.
Yeah. So we'll have to see with that one. But more running back news, like you mentioned, Saquon Barkley. He was asked whether or not he would consider sitting out for all of the 2023 season. And Saquon Barkley is quoted as saying, "That's a card that I could play." So yeah, potential. He was offered the franchise tag. He's yet to sign it. He's looking for a long-term deal. And if he doesn't get it, we might not see him this season. Do you think that that's like a legitimate possibility, or is he just posturing?
I think it's posturing. I think the team's going to end up finding the deal before the season starts. We got plenty of time because I feel like before they asked this question, maybe even a couple of weeks ago, they had asked him about like the contract stuff and him not signing his tender, and he was just like, yeah, honestly, I just haven't even really been in the building a lot to talk to them. So we haven't really talked so much, so we're not really seeing eye to eye, but again, that's a lack of discussion. I feel like the team does like Saquon. They want to keep him there for the long term, but I think this is a little bit of posturing. I think it's just him saying, like, I could do that. I'm not afraid to.
Yeah, I think I'm probably closer to agreeing with you than on the opposite side of the spectrum. In the rest of the quote here, it says that he's not looking to reset the running back market. He just believes he's deserving of a long-term deal rather than the $10.1 million he's set to make on the franchise tag. There was another quote from a different reporter that says it doesn't sound like a long-term deal for Barkley is particularly close, but that could also be explained by what you mentioned. He just hasn't been in that much of close talks or negotiations with them yet throughout this offseason. But yeah, I think the team understands that he's their most valuable offensive weapon, or at least their most talented offensive player, and that if he's not in the building, they're not going to be competing.
Yeah, so. This is one of the few running back holdouts I can really say, like, in recent memory, because, like, obviously Le'Veon Bell sat out, didn't really matter because the Steelers were still the Steelers. They had James Conner right there already. Melvin Gordon held out, didn't matter. They had Austin Eckler right there already, and he became who he is now. And they had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, so still a solid team. But this team, if they lose Saquon, that's bad. That's real bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do there. You got Matt Breida holding it down back there.
They did draft the guy out of Oklahoma. I'm not remembering anybody's names. Eric Gray.
Oh, that's right, the rookie. Yeah.
Who I do actually like quite a bit, but he's certainly not Saquon.
No.
I had these reports organized by position, but since we're talking about the Giants, I do want to come down here to Jalen Hyatt, just about the team in general, because you said like how much they would miss Saquon because their wide receiver core is dust, it seems like. Jalen Hyatt's report is that he's mostly working with the third team offense, and that his role as a deep threat specialist as a rookie could potentially be there, but it looks like it's an uphill climb to unseat established veterans for a more substantial role early in the season.
Damn, bro's having a hard time uprooting Jamison Crowder and Darius Slayton. Insane. But hey, my fault. I didn't mean to do him like that, but hey.
Nah, it's true. And fucking Paris Campbell. There have been positive reports about Paris Campbell in Giants minicamp. I guess with Saquon not there, Paris Campbell has been taking snaps at running back, and reporters expect us to care about that. He's caught, I think the quote was, he caught 4 more passes than any other wide receiver at minicamp so far. I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't care at all. What's his name? Paris Campbell? I've been through this before. Miss me with that. All right? Talk to me about somebody else.
No, that's facts. That's big facts. Because, like I said, it's just a crazy news coming out of Giants training camp right now.
Saquon's not here. We got to start talking about somebody, right?
Somebody, Paris Campbell, he's taking snaps out the backfield. Ain't that kooky? Yeah, this is this is bad, especially considering that Jalen Hyatt was thought to be like possibly a first-round pick. So I guess he was right to slide where he did, and Eric was right.
What
Eric
did
was
we
right.
say?
Eric was right. Eric was more right than I was because I even had hope. I had
And
hope.
I'm not ready to totally write him off. This is so early. These are all mini camp reports. This could be nothing. Maybe they're lying. Who knows? But this is what I said, man. Jalen Hyatt doesn't have it. He's not that good.
And it's looking like he's right because he could have a role as a deep threat specialist as a rookie. Maybe.
Maybe.
We could just keep throwing it to Darius Slayton. I'd rather throw it up to him and let him keep dropping them than putting Jalen Hyatt in.
God. All right. Let's move on. Let's stop beating up on the Giants. Let's go back to the running back world. Josh Jacobs is also on here. Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels said running back Josh Jacobs is not under contract. He is yet to sign the team's franchise tag, just like Saquon Barkley, and will not be participating at mandatory OTAs. Jacobs is entering his age 25 season, and according to this report, it says that he will likely come to terms with the Raiders later this summer, but it's something to monitor closely. So I wonder what kind of inside reporting they have there. I've been hearing that he's waiting to sign until they add more offensive weapons to look like a viable team. I'm sorry, Josh, that's not happening, bro. It's bad. The Raiders are gonna be bad. So either man up and just play or get the fuck out of there. And honestly, I would advise that.
I love how the fact that we have like a direct metric right now as to whether the Raiders are good or not, and it's whether Josh Jacobs has signed his franchise tender or not.
If Josh Jacobs doesn't sign, we know they're bad. That's never been in question though.
No, we've known they're bad, but this just I didn't know that this was the case, but that's actually hilarious. Yeah. We have a direct like if Josh Jacobs signs today, we're like, whoa, what did the Raiders do?
Shit.
Are they loading up?
Whoa, hold up.
Raiders loading up. But as of right now, it's just Raiders are bad. We were right to think they were bad because Josh Jacobs thinks they're bad, and he's the best player there, besides Devontae Adams maybe.
Yeah. Devontae Adams, I'd probably give him the nod.
But Devontae Adams ain't happy to be there either, so.
No, he's not. Not a good situation out there in Las Vegas. Any additional thoughts on that? Like, do you think it's likely that he re-signs with the team? Do you think there's a chance he goes somewhere else? I know it's all speculation, but.
I mean, regardless, even if he wants to go somewhere else, he's going to have to sign that tender. You know, like if they want him to trade him, he's going to have to sign it. Because like they said, he's not under contract right now. And he can't just walk. Can he?
I don't know. If he's not under contract and he just doesn't sign the franchise tag, is he then a free agent?
I don't think so. Because I think he'll still have the designation of having a franchise tag on him. You know?
Interesting.
It also depends. It also depends on the type of franchise tag. Because the one with like the one Lamar had, I forget exactly what that one was called. Non-exclusive, I think. Lamar's non-exclusive one let other teams offer, and then the Ravens got an opportunity to match. I think since he has an exclusive franchise tag, teams can't offer him anything. They can't talk to him. They'd have to do essentially like a sign and trade type of situation.
Okay.
At least I'm pretty sure.
I'm
that's from back when I was doing research with the whole Le'Veon Bell situation when that was going on.
Yeah. I'm on Spotrac right now, so he does have. Well, the other thing. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Josh Jacobs signed a 1-year contract, earned a base salary of 10. No, he didn't. What are you talking about, Spotrac? He has yet to sign the franchise tender. They're acting as if he did sign it.
Wait, did Josh Jacobs sign? Are the Raiders good?
Am I tripping?
Are the Raiders good?
Am I wrong about this?
I doubt it.
I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. Let's move on. Joe Mixon, also in this category, the last running back that we have to talk about. The Athletics' Paul Denner writes, Joe Mixon's endgame will be whether he's willing to realign his $12.8 million cap hit to the current state of the running back market. So basically, if he wants to stay in Cincy, he's going to have to take a pay cut. Do you think... so first of all, do you think he's going to? And second of all, what do you think is in his best interest?
His best interest is to keep the money, I think, because I feel like even if he gets re-signed, anywhere he re-signs to, it's not going to be to a big contract, no matter whether he stays with the Bengals or he goes to a different team. I don't think it's going to be a big contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be willing to move his contract around, because I feel like that would have happened by now if that were the
Well, see,
case.
That's the thing, though, is like, I think if he doesn't take a pay cut, they cut him. And I'm not sure what he's guaranteed necessarily out of that deal, but it's probably not the full 12.8 million.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
And then he hits the open market, and like you just mentioned, Dalvin Cook's out there and nobody wants him. Like, we got a bunch of running backs kind of flying around that nobody's claiming yet. Does Joe Mixon find a team where he's getting the usage that he wants and getting paid enough to warrant leaving his current situation?
I think with you putting it like that, I think his best option is to play ball for a little bit, try to restructure his contract, and just try to get in there for the long haul with the Bengals. Because, like you said, it's rough out there for running backs right now, especially veteran running backs, and he's not even one of the efficient ones. So
Yep. It's a tough situation out there for the running backs. But let's go to the wide receivers. I have this on here, and I didn't look up the report, but I'm going to look it up right now. Juju Smith-Schuster, I've heard, is still dealing with an injury from last year. This is something that we talked about all the way back last offseason when people were hyping him up in Kansas City, that he might have... This is speculation. We don't have any definitive reporting on this, but like he might have like a degenerative knee issue that's causing chronic flare-ups that are keeping him out of games, and has been for 2 or 3 years at this point, and now it's getting more serious. Again, not set in stone. We don't know that for sure, but we've heard some rumblings about that. Twitter doctors have been kind of skeptical of whether or not that's an issue, and so I'm going to look it up, but I'm curious your thoughts on Juju in that situation.
No, I could definitely see that being the case, especially since this is year 2 of us kind of getting the same type of news, same time of year throughout the season as well, that he would deal with these flare-ups. Like, I think he had swollen knees a couple different weeks where he just couldn't play because it just wasn't settling correctly. And just going forward, that's scary to have, especially in a wide receiver, having to make all those cuts, having to move laterally up the field the way he has to, be explosive. It's tough to do with chronic knee issues.
Yeah, so I found the report. I'm going to read the whole thing. It says NFL Network's Mike Giardi, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, reports that Juju Smith-Schuster is still dealing with a knee injury that he suffered in 2022. Juju did not participate in New England's mandatory minicamp this week. Smith-Schuster had to be managed, quote-unquote, throughout the second half of the 2022 season as he struggled with a lingering knee issue, one of many injuries Juju has sustained during his 6-year NFL career. Quote, that he is still dealing with the physical ailments in June is concerning, especially as you take a deeper look at his injury history. Remember, he spoke on how challenging this playbook is to learn. Juju would figure to operate as the Patriots' #1 wideout when healthy, unless the team signs DeAndre Hopkins in the coming weeks. So I didn't realize that he had come out and said that the playbook is hard to learn. I'm not sure whether we need to buy into that being an actual issue or not, but it is substantial if, 1, he's dealing with injuries, and that's already a problem, and then 2, because of that, he's not on the field getting the chemistry, learning the playbook. It could be a big issue.
I would be a little bit more worried about the whole playbook thing if we're hearing more of that in, like, I guess, like late July, early August.
Yeah.
If we're hearing it then it's like, oh, fuck. But
yeah, we're not at Chase Claypool levels yet, are we?
No, we haven't hit Chase Claypool yet. Chase Claypool, that is terrible. But
you see, that's the one that you called. I was still kind of believing in the talent because I think he's so physically gifted, but man, he is just not driven. He doesn't care. He's just not. He didn't have the drive to be an NFL wide receiver.
He didn't have the drive to be the best wide receiver in a YouTube video with D. Stroing. So it's hard for me to believe he wanted to be good in the NFL when, like, that's your opportunity. That shit should be easy for you. Like, I watched the episode of Justin Jefferson. He was lighting it up. Justin Jefferson looked like a fucking man amongst not even boys, against toddlers out there.
And he should be.
Yeah,
he should be.
which he is
That's
in
exactly
the
what
NFL
you-
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Chase Claypool, Michael Pittman out there looking kind of crazy. I was like, I don't know about these two.
Yeah.
So far, I've been panning out a little bit.
But yeah, so definitely something to monitor with Juju going forward. We mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. There was another report that he's in no rush to sign following his visit with the Patriots. He left Thursday's Patriot visit without a contract. They did not offer him what he was looking for in the monetary department, but that does insinuate that they did give him an offer. And things have been slow for DeAndre Hopkins. I did expect him to be signed already. That's also mentioned in the report that it's difficult to make the money tree shake in June. It seems clear that Hopkins will sign before training camp, but maybe only just.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense because what exactly do we know what D-Hop is asking for in terms of money?
I don't know if we have a set number.
Did anyone say? I feel like
Let's see
someone
here.
said like a Odell type contract. Or
Odell got so overpaid.
that's what I mean. I feel like I saw a quote or something like that about D-Hop looking for an Odell type contract, which I don't know if that's true. I could be making that up. Guys, I could be bullshitting y'all. I bullshit sometimes.
I mean, if I were D-Hop and I saw what Odell got, I'd be like, I deserve it too. He's produced at a higher level than him in the last few years of their career so far, so I wouldn't blame him for it.
Yeah, and D-Hop is 32, 31? What was D-Hop?
31.
Because I know Odell
31.
is 30. Okay.
Yeah, so not that much older.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like you said, if Odell got that kind of contract, D-Hop should also get that kind of contract.
But Odell shouldn't have gotten that contract.
That's the issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
we'll
issue.
see. We'll see how that ends up. But it seems like that's where the most kind of smoke has been coming from. That he is going to end up. Lately, we've seen Tennessee and we've seen the Patriots, which is a little weird because I would have expected him to go to a contender, and I don't really see either of those teams being a contender. But fantasy-wise, what do you think about either of those two landing spots, and which one would you pick?
What were the two landing spots again? I'm sorry, I was looking at this article for D-Hop.
Tennessee and New England.
Oh, okay. So I like New England as a landing spot better than Tennessee. I know there's just the usual sort of he's on the Patriots, wide receivers on the Patriots, blah, blah, blah. But I do like the fact that like we have seen wide receivers also thrive at the Patriots as well, especially alpha wide receivers that are able to perform, like obviously Randy Moss. And you know what's kind of crazy? I didn't want to say like I don't want to sit here and compare D-Hop to Randy Moss, but D-Hop is a future probably Hall of Famer at this point.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we can
He's
kind of
not Randy Moss. But
he's not Randy
yeah.
Moss, but like he's still a great talent to still land at this team and can still produce at a high level. So
He'd easily be their wide receiver one, like no question.
plus he'd be returning back to an offense with Bill O'Brien, who under him he was what, a 5-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in for that. I'm all in for that. And fuck Ryan
I agree.
Tannehill. So
The agenda continues. For me, it's less about Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee and more about Traylon Burks. I just think with them not competing necessarily and having a young ascending receiver, I think they're going to want to get the ball in his hands and see what he's about. I don't know. I think the DeAndre Hopkins to Tennessee seems weird, but we'll have to see.
yeah, it reminds me a lot of like I don't know, Julio to Tennessee, and we saw that ended up for Julio. You know,
Yeah.
they just really
Yeah.
took him out behind the shed. You know, like old Yeller.
Unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
I love Julio, bro. Totally different conversation, but like at his peak, like when healthy and at his best, maybe the best receiver of our generation.
Bro, I will never forget the game that he put up 300 yards against the Panthers, and they cut whatever cornerback was covering him the next morning. Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
I will never forget that.
It's like, how you gonna do that to that guy? It's Julio fucking Jones, bro.
Right.
Like,
This
calm
is-
down. It's
That's your
fine.
scapegoat? That's your scapegoat, the guy that we knew wasn't going to get it done from the start? Okay.
Nobody's gonna get it done.
No.
That's crazy. All right, let's keep it rolling. We got some Stephon Diggs news here. This is kind of already dead news, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think people got really concerned. We saw some talk in our Discord. I know Max, shout out to you. You were talking about potentially issues. Stephon Diggs could be on the move. I think it was earlier this week or last week. It's only Monday, so it was last week. That Stephon Diggs hadn't reported to camp, and Sean McDermott, their head coach, came out and said that he was concerned with his absence and wasn't sure necessarily what the deal was. He's already returned. He's already participating at OTAs. And the latest quote from Sean McDermott is that they're in a really good spot, and he did everything he was asked to do.
Yeah, I think they're in a really good spot because he didn't show up at training camp, and they had a conversation, and he told them everything that he wanted.
Yep.
And they pushed forward. This is kind of what I was talking about. This little side of Stephon Diggs right here. I think it's a side that people don't see a whole lot from him. Well, actually, no, we saw it in Minnesota. He wasn't happy with what his role was there.
No, we all know that he's got a little diva in him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, the reason that I was never concerned when I saw this report, where the hell else is he going to go that he's going to like better, or that he's going to produce more, or that's going to be better for his career? There's zero places.
That's the beautiful thing, nowhere. But yeah. I do remember us having this conversation about them possibly going for D-Hop and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if Diggs would go for something like that.
Right.
I think this was more proof of I don't think Diggs would go for something like that.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But I don't know. I think, like you said, I think there was a second there where there was smoke and there was some fire, but I think they got it put out internally pretty quick.
Yeah,
but,
I think this is a non-issue. I'm not worried about it at all.
Absolutely. Now it is. But I do think when it first happened, I was like, uh-oh, let's see what's going to happen. And they got it straightened out immediately. So at least they know where their money's going and who the guys are they need to be paying attention to out there.
Yeah. We already talked about Jalen Hyatt. This one we should have mentioned when we were talking about the Chiefs receiver core. Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says Sky Moore is, quote, taking a good jump. He noted that Moore was one of the higher targeted receivers after the team's final day of minicamp. Obviously, he had a down rookie year, at least compared to expectations. Everybody was really hyping him up with the landing spot to Kansas City. He was in most dynasty leagues a first-round rookie pick. And so I'm wondering if you think he's like a post-hype sleeper and could produce coming into his sophomore NFL season, or if we've seen what we're going to see out of him and he's really not going to be the elite guy that people hoped.
I absolutely believe that we're going to get an opportunity to see if he can produce this year. I think they're going to give him the opportunity now. Like some of these quotes are saying, a lot of the reasons why he didn't get a whole lot of opportunity last year was, I guess, sort of from a maturity on the field standpoint, sort of him fumbling and stuff like that. More mental issues than, I guess, physical. And I think at this point, I think they're ready to give him a chance. And I'm excited to see what they can do because, like we kind of talked about earlier, it's weird because there's not really a lot of options. You know, like I feel like someone's got to get the ball out there. But at the same time, there's also a sneakily like high amount of options as well, where it's like, I don't know if I want to buy in completely on any one of these guys.
Right. Yeah, it's tough for me. I've seen some people on Twitter making or staking their claim for any of these three guys. And yeah, it's hard for me to buy in that one of them is to a focal point when I just expect it to be Travis Kelce and then, a hodgepodge of the rest. But I think if I were going to bet on anybody, it would probably be Sky. Highest draft capital investment of any of these guys. I guess, Kadarius Toney had a higher draft capital, but not on this team.
Right.
But yeah, like Juju is gone. Mecole Hardman's gone. MVS is total dust, and I think the team recognizes that now. So it really is all the young guys. It's Moore, it's Toney, and I am forgetting his name again.
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, bro. I'm so sorry. That is so disrespectful to you, Rashee.
It's all right.
Or maybe it's not if you don't do absolutely anything in your rookie year, but we'll see.
Hey, we'll see, yeah.
But yeah, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't have too much more. I think, like you said, it's one of those ones where it's tough to bet on any of these guys, but they all have so much upside that any one of them could take off. But if I could put my money on any of the two, I would put my money on Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, before I would on Rashee Rice. At least let him develop a little bit more, but who knows? Could be Rashee Rice right out the gate. We really have no fucking clue. No idea with this team.
No idea.
They were rebuilding last year and won the Super Bowl. We can't guess anything that they're doing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the quarterback position. We only have a couple more storylines to talk about here. The Arizona Republic's Bob McMenamin expects Cardinals to give rookie quarterback Clayton Tune a chance to start week 1. This is a guy that we've talked about quite a bit. Just when we were going through all the rookie drafts and kind of like the late round sleepers and stuff, Clayton Tune is somebody that we were banging the drum for, not even because we expect him to blossom into an NFL starter, but just because we expect him to take NFL snaps in his rookie year, and that's going to be enough to boost his value to where you can trade him for a lot more than you invested to get him.
Yeah, absolutely agree. This is just excellent for the Clayton Tune agenda that I've seen a lot from people lately on Twitter and stuff. So it's awesome to see. Like we see down here, he doesn't have a whole lot of competition, at least to start the season. Kyler Murray obviously still recovering. Colt McCoy injured at the moment, and standing in front of him right now are David Blau and Jeff Driscoll. So is it Blow?
No, you're right. I was
Blau.
just laughing because they're terrible.
Yeah. So it's not a whole lot of competition right in front of him. His biggest competition would have been Colt McCoy, and if he's not there to start, I see Clayton Tune starting the season out, to be honest with you. And like you said, if he can make any little bit of something happen while he's out there on that field and you can sell him, that's a great value that you got at the end of your rookie drafts right there.
Yeah. Obviously, we're talking dynasty. This is a guy that.
Oh, if it's redraft, don't touch him, please.
Let's not get it twisted. Do not touch this guy in redraft. But for dynasty purposes, you could have scooped him up in the 4th round of your dynasty drafts, your 5th round. Maybe even he went undrafted and you picked him up after the fact. Maybe he's still sitting out there. And if he's sitting out there right now, go grab him because I think he's worth it. You could potentially turn him into a 3rd round pick, a 2nd round pick next year if he does start some games.
Yeah, definitely agree there.
And then the last piece of news here.
Battle of the Titans.
Laughable. Todd Bowles says Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask have had equal first-team reps at quarterback in OTAs. This is so gross. I hate every part of this.
Bro, you're talking about a former first overall competing with a 2nd-round quarterback, man. This is a battle of the Titans right here. This is a true competition.
You know what I've heard? I've heard some quotes from some beat reporters and from some of the coaching staff. They're saying Baker Mayfield, quote, still has that moxie.
See?
If that is what you're holding on to with Baker Mayfield, can he play quarterback? I don't know, but he's got moxie.
He's got that grit, boy. First team all grit. I've been saying it since last year. Doesn't matter what the stats say. Doesn't matter what the little cute analysis say. He's got grit. He's gonna go out there and maybe get it done. But he's gonna try.
Again, limited sample size, but enough for him to qualify for these categories. He was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. The only other quarterback that was worse than him in terms of statistics was Malik Willis, but he didn't play enough games or have enough attempts to qualify for these categories. Baker Mayfield was dead last. He's awful. And the thing is, I hate Kyle Trask even more. I think he's worse. I think Baker Mayfield's going to win the job, and that's so sad for Tampa fans, bro. But they just got Tom Brady. They won a Super Bowl, so fuck them. You already got yours.
Those are all some very fair points, but I will say, I'm sure Baker had a lot of heart when he was throwing those passes. There was a lot of grit. I'm sure, clawing, scratching, surviving. It's probably what he was doing right there. He had him right where he wanted him,
Real first guy in, last guy out, lunch pail mentality type
God,
guy. All the white things. All the white things, all right? I don't care. He's bad.
Come on,
He's
man.
bad.
Yeah, he is pretty bad. I believed in Baker, I feel like, from day one, but I also hated the fact that he went first overall. I feel like him going first overall changed the entire trajectory of his career.
It might have.
He should have gotten drafted in the 4th round.
He needed the chip on his shoulder to be good. That ruined him. You're right. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, that was it.
Guys, I think we figured it out right here, right now, why Baker Mayfield's bad. It's because he got drafted first overall. The Browns never should have did it. They should have drafted him in the 4th round. He'd be first-team All-Pro right now.
Absolutely. No question. Not a single question in my mind. Zero doubts.
Matter of fact,
he'd be the best quarterback in the NFL.
Matter of fact, undrafted. Undrafted fucking he walked in one day, was cleaning up bathrooms or some shit, and somebody saw him throw a paper towel in the can and said, "Hey, you got an arm. Why don't you get out here and try out for quarterback?"
He'd be better than Patrick Mahomes. Simple as that.
One of the best we've ever seen. I'm sorry for what this episode ended up turning into, everybody.
This is fun, bro. This is for us. I hope y'all enjoyed, but this is for us, bro.
This is a good time. This is a good time. And also we got the help. It's Max, right? Max with the Clayton Tune
Max
agenda.
loves Clayton Tune.
Max loves Clayton Tune.
Shout out to you, bro.
Got to talk about him for a little bit.
Everybody out there, join the Discord. Max is in there talking every single day about the Clayton Tune agenda, pushing it forward. Tell him why he's right or tell him why he's wrong. Join the party, man. Talk to us. Talk to everybody we got in there. It's a good group. That'll be linked in the description below. Are you down to wrap this thing up? Can I just talk about all this stuff?
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
We got all of our sponsors down in there. We got Underdog Fantasy. We got promo codes for that for 100% deposit match. We got Dynasty Owner. We got a promo code down there for a 20% off on your first deposit. We got... What else do we have? League Winners. We're partnered with them, so check out their great articles. I am hitting my mic. Everything's crazy.
We got a new video dropping for them soon. New series. New series.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
New series coming out for the League Winners. I hope you guys enjoy that. And Do Numbers, the merch and apparel brand. If you're looking for some hoodies, some t-shirts, some hats, any of that cool stuff, we got another link down there and promo code for 15% off your order. So that would mean a whole bunch to us if you would support us in that way, and that would also mean a whole bunch to our sponsors. If you give them some attention, give them some of your money, that helps out everybody. So with all that being said, YouTube things. You want to tell them about the YouTube things?
Yeah, make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That way you know when we drop all of our latest videos. Hit that like button. That way you guys can support us. It's absolutely free. Best way to get our content out there. And let us know down in the comments below any type of the news that you guys wanted to see us cover. If there's anything we missed, anything you want to see us cover in the future, or just anything you guys want to talk about, because we will be reading the comments. We will be interacting. We'll be talking to you guys. Eric's going crazy over there. He's been going crazy this whole time with the ad-libs. He's going nuts. Yeah. But other than that, man, love you guys so much for watching these videos. So if you made it this far, as always, we love you, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.